And now, here is Coretta McDonald, Member of Parliament and host of Advancing the Cause.
Well, good evening to you, and good evening to you, and good evening to you, and good evening to all of you. Welcome to another episode of Advancing the Cause. We're here again this week, and I would want to share with you lots and lots of things that have been happening from last Wednesday to now. You know, some things are still hot in the pot. And like some people would say, hey, go drink water and mind your own business. But we can't drink water and mind our own business. We have got to be able to speak out and highlight the issues that are going to have serious effects on us. And so this evening, again, on Advancing the Cause, let me first take time off to say happy birthday to all those who would have celebrated their birthdays. And of course, I want to wish you God's richest blessings and many, many more birthdays to come. I trust that this new chapter, this new year will bring you much joy. It will bring you success, and it's going to make you happy. And even while all of that is happening, that you're going to use this year to inspire as many persons as possible. And then, of course, we want to extend condolences to all those who are bereaved at this time. We feel your pain. We feel that void. We feel that absence of that person from around the table. And we want to extend to you our sincerest condolences and to pray that God would give you the kind of comfort you need at this time while you go through this moment of grief. Just remember, weeping may last for a night, but joy comes in the morning. And so on Advancing the Cause, this evening, we've got quite a lot. And so let me share with you our highlights for this evening. First, we're going to look at the healthcare system. What is happening in our healthcare system? I just don't know, and I don't understand. We are putting so much money into our healthcare system, and yet we're not getting the kind of services we need. And so, you know what? A young boy dies 9 hours after he was bitten by a snake. Little boy dying 9 hours after he was bitten by a snake. I don't understand why up to this day we are still having these kinds of things happening. And then if that was not all, we're having another child who died 6 hours after he was bitten by a scorpion. Again, these loss of lives could be avoided. And then if that was not all, we had a woman who went to do extraction, got overdose of the anesthetic, and she died too. And I'm being told that 3 other persons have died that way. And all of these persons would have visited the Chedi Jagan dental school or dental care system. And if that was not all, a young man went right to that institution to do an extraction. And you know what happened? The wrong tooth was extracted, the wrong tooth. And so I don't know. Is it that we're training too many and we are not giving the proper training? Because I've heard foolish statements. Let them go, we're going to train more. So is it that we're allowing our experience to go while we're training more and just putting them there? I'm not sure what is happening. And these things, again, ought not to happen in a country that is evolving. These things ought not to happen. And so to those families who would have experienced those losses, we extend to you again our sincerest condolences. And while we talk about that, of course, we got to talk about this big financial paper that was passed in Parliament on Monday. Of course, you know, the opposition, we were not there on Monday because it is gross disrespect. The manner with which this government is operating. Imagine 8 members of the opposition, 8 members of parliament from the opposition side were suspended without a fair hearing. And then you expect us to come sit in parliament while you put forward your 44 point whatever billion dollars budget. It's going to pass without us anyhow. With or without us, you'll pass it. And so that supplementary budget that you would have passed there, I am wondering what's in that budget for public servants. What's there for public servants? And so we have a $4 billion investment for GPL. Let me say that, yes, $4 billion, and that kind of investment will go to modernize and do proper maintenance and maybe buy additional generator or supplement what they already have. But let me tell you something, I can go down to Main Street and pelt GPL, pelt that office when you see they continue to give me this kind of low voltage that I'm getting. And have you noticed, all of a sudden, blackout and more blackout and more blackout. And when you don't have the blackouts, you've got power outages. And this is so very, very disgusting. In this day and age, when we're boasting about this and we're boasting about that, and we're boasting about the amount, Guyana being the new Dubai of the Caribbean, and we have a blackout. Guyana being the new Dubai of the Caribbean, and persons are going to do extraction and they're pulling out the wrong tooth. Persons going there to do extraction and they're being overdosed and they're dying. How I don't understand. And so something got to be wrong. Something has got to be wrong some way. But let's continue. And then we have well, of course, like I said just now, the supplementary paper, that financial paper was $44.8 billion that was presented. And oh, you know what? Black belly sheep, they copped a whooping $177.7 million from that $44.8 billion. Black belly sheep. Operator, do you have those black belly sheep there? You remember I spoke about this and I'm saying, I'm wondering how many persons are going to benefit from this investment here. How many persons are going to benefit from this investment, the black belly sheep? How many of our farmers across this country will benefit from the black belly sheep investment that we're doing? Again, we know how this will operate. The 3 F's will come first: friends, families, favorites. And then they can throw a 1 or a 2 or a 5 here or a 5 there. But we're waiting to see what is going to happen and how the distribution is going to take place. And then as we move further on into our highlights, again, this is so disgusting. We've got the police there, and their job is to protect and serve. But here is it, we got police doing all kinds of things. Father help us. Police officer was seen on a video having sex with a male 15-year-old. A 15-year-old boy, police officer, was caught on video having sex with us. Lord, what is happening in this country? Where are we going as a people? What is happening in the police force? Well, I need not say much, because if we can do all kinds of craziness with the police force and the police force, the service commission, if we do all kinds of craziness there, then this is what we'll expect to happen. And I'm hoping that this police officer is going to face the full blunt of the law. This is crazy. How can we begin to trust policemen and women when these kinds of things are happening in our society? Father help us. It is crazy, crazy, crazy. And then we've had two murders in less than 24 hours or within 24 hours. 2 murders. 2 young women, 2 mothers have died. One 24 years old and one 23 years old. 24-year-old wife stabbed to death by her husband. They were separated for some time, and the man decided he's not going anywhere. He's not taking, like the people would say, I ain't taking left. And so rather than sitting and talking with his wife and maybe inviting a counselor or welfare officer to talk with them, he took matters into his own hand. And so that young woman from Region 6 is now dead. And then we had another murder in Sophia. I think it's Beefield, Sophia, where a young woman was stabbed, 23 years old. She's now dead, and her 3 children are left to be cared for by their grandparents or maybe their father. And this is so sad. And while that has happened, while she is dead, we have 3 sisters who were involved in the scuffle and the stabbing and so on. They are now in police custody. And this is more than disgusting. It is more than disgusting. Folks, we've got to do better than this. And you know, it all starts again. It goes back to the community helping to raise the child. We have stemmed too far from that. And so all these kinds of confusion we are having in the society, it is saying therefore to us that we have got to be able to pull the home, the church, and the community together so that we can help to bring some sort of stability to our society. We cannot afford to have these things happening. Now, those 3 young ladies, I'm sure maybe 1 or 2 of them are mothers. And so they are going to be away from their children. What happens there? It's a whole barrage of children who are going to be left without their mothers. We've got to do something. And I'm hoping that very soon I'm going to be hearing from our churches. They're too quiet. Too many issues are happening in our society, and our churches are quiet. Very, very quiet. And I find this very, very disheartening. That persons out there need lots and lots of help. But our religious bodies are quiet on these issues. Very, very, very quiet on these issues. And then, of course, we had the court roundup. Of course, we've got some issues with court. And so today, Madam Young, Justice Young, she would have listened to the arguments on the matter of the suspension of the MPs, and we'll get to that in a few. And tomorrow, Thursday, we're going to have that Christopher Jones versus the Attorney General and Clifton Hicking. We're going to have that the judge there rendering her judgment orally tomorrow. That is going to be happening tomorrow, and we look forward to that judgment that is going to be handed down tomorrow. But then again, we're going into another murder we have again, where a young man from the Essequibo coast, his body was found floating in the river, and his mouth was strapped up and his hands were tied, and he was also tied to the engine of a boat. You know, too many of these murders are happening, too many of them, and we've got to be able to talk. We've got to be able to teach our children, sit at home with our children, talk with them, let them understand that violence is not the answer. We can talk through issues. We can resolve issues by sitting down and talking about them. Get angry, walk away, and then you return to talk about them. And this is going to do us much, much better than what is happening in our society. Too much of lawlessness is happening in this society. Too much of madness is happening in our country. Too many murders. And when it's not the murders, we have the accidents. And when it's not the accidents, we find cocaine all over the place. Something is definitely wrong. And we've got to be able to put our hands on what is happening in the society so that we'll be able to pull this society, pull this country back to some sort of semblance so that we can enjoy the resources that are here for us. If you recognize what is happening, we have lots and lots and lots of foreigners in this country, and they're enjoying even more what is here that we're supposed to be enjoying. We have foreigners taking up lots and lots of land space in our country, and people right here, citizens right here, can't get a piece of land. And if you do get a piece, it's between 1.5 to 1.8, and you get a call and you're expected in 2 days to find that kind of money to pay for the lot that has been the lot that has been awarded to you. These kinds of nonsense have got to stop. We've got to be able to get to that place where our people would have access to land, and the access that they're going to have, it would be within a reasonable cost. If we look at the salaries that public servants are earning, there is no way that many of them would be able to find $1.8 million or $1.5 million to pay for a piece of land. And that's not all. When they go to pay for this piece of land, then they have to start looking for other monies to build on that land. And so it's disgusting. And while we're going down there, I'm seeing one of our viewers talking about something there at the Lusignan prison. What is happening? Oh, prisoners are being treated very badly at Lusignan prison. Director of prisons, I hope that you are watching, or somebody else is watching, that they can say to you, and you can look into this issue. We have a viewer here expressing disgust at the manner with which prisoners are being treated at the Lusignan prison. And so while I'm on that, let me say good night to all of the usual suspects. It's nice to have you here with us on Advancing the Cause. And here is it again. We seem to be going very much under rather than going above, rather than rising above. And so many things are happening in this country. And it is a shame, and it's a disgrace that the Muhammad Ali led PPPC government, amidst the spiraling price increases for food items and other services, gas and transportation and all the others, that his so-called caring government has ignored the responsibilities, or ignored its responsibilities to public servants. Everything going up, the cost for everything going up. As a matter of fact, a taxi from the seawall to East Rumvelt just the other day was $1,000. $1,000. The prices for cooking gas has gone up. Rice has gone up. Oil has gone up. Every single thing. And this installed regime that is talking about because we care and because we care and because we don't care, they are saying nothing about what kind of relief are you going to offer to our public servants. These were the very people who were complaining, and they were writing and having all sorts of press conferences when the coalition government was in power. And they were reminding the coalition government that you need to reinstall collective bargaining. You need to all they need to do. And when you stand up, the game is over. And you notice the persons who are benefiting? Friends and families and favorites. Those are the ones who are benefiting. They just, yes, and like our folks are saying, they just don't care. They just don't care about what is happening with us. They just don't care about what is happening. I think our folks are saying there's sound. They're not getting sound. It's up again. Okay, so if you're hearing us now, could you indicate that you're hearing us? If you're hearing us now, could you indicate? Could you indicate if you're hearing us now?
Yes, good.
All right, I think our sound is up again. Good. And so that's what we have. That's what we have there. Our Guyanese people who are suffering, while the multitude, they are all there and they're having fun. Operator, the comments we're seeing there, are those recent comments, or could we have the recent ones popping up rather than these old ones? Yes. So folks, this is what is happening in this country. Bad governance. Yes, bad governance by the wicked PPP. And that's all they need to, they know to do. That's all they know to do. They know to stifle and suppress so that they can reign. That's all they need to do. They don't want fair exchange. They don't want to have consultations. They don't want to engage in collective bargaining so that we can have what is rightfully ours as public servants. And you know why this is happening? This is happening because the majority of the public servants and the majority of teachers and the majority of nurses, they are deemed to be coalition supporters. So that's their way of stifling them. It's just as straight as that. That's their way of stifling them. So they wouldn't be able to talk. They wouldn't be able to stand up for their rights. But I tell you what, rain, sun, whatever, public servants will do what they have to do. It's just a matter of time. Operator, I don't know if we have MP Natasha Singh Lewis in us yet, but if we do, could we, or if we have, yes, if we have her there, let's have her so we can talk about this issue with the court hearing there. And again, we have lots and lots and lots of monies that are passing through this country. Lots and lots of monies that were budgeted for coming out of Parliament. And we still don't understand where the money there, where these monies are going, what is happening with these monies. Why aren't people across this country being able to access freely some of these monies that are sharing around certain places? Why our people can't access some of these monies? And again, I want to say that I'm going to be keeping my ears on the ground, because I would really want to know who are the persons that will benefit from this black belly sheep investment. I would really want to know that. While we wait for MP Natasha Singh Lewis, is she there yet? She's not there yet. While we wait for MP Natasha Singh Lewis to come in, operator, could you play that that slide that we have there? Could you put that one up? Yes, could we have that slide up? And viewers, you're going to listen to this, and I'm going to ask you to make your comments, and I think we're going to open the phone lines for you to tell us your thoughts on that.
It does not take into consideration the financial analysis which should have been. It does not take into consideration the due diligence on the part of the supplier who is going to supply the tank. This is what. Now, to bring it short, I respect your view as an engineer, but what I want to do is we don't want to spend much time on it. And here, what we can do is appoint a committee of the directors. They will look into the matters. They will interview everybody, including the technical person, and they will submit the report to the board of directors within 10 days. I suggest the committee should be comprised of vice chairman, who has a tremendous knowledge and understanding, Mr. Veera, Mr. Paul Chung, Mr. Jay Pritham, and the chairman of the procurement committee. Okay, all of you sit, you interview each one of them, any members. Okay, I will ask you to sacrifice much of your time and do a report, because we don't want to discuss here if this sector is good. But one thing is absolutely certain: we need tactors. Therefore, we should expedite this process as quickly as possible. This committee will be, because it's a very learned members, and you can take inputs from any technical member and come out with your report.
The chairman, am I hearing correctly that you've not allowed the executive management to have a report on what we listened to for 38 minutes? Is that what I just heard?
Yes, that's what
Yeah, but
I am not speaking to you, sir. I'm speaking to my
chairman.
chairman.
I'm saying that
Please
that's what
stop being a parrot.
okay.
I'm not being a what?
Mr. Chairman.
I'm not being a what?
Mr. Chairman, I'm asking, you just committed a situation whereby the executive management does not have the right of rebuttal.
If you did not listen to me carefully, he will listen, their committee will listen to each and everybody, including the executive.
Chairman, but it is unfair. It's a violation of justice.
Okay.
That we listen for 38 minutes
Okay.
to one person who has exercised an opinion, which is at variance to a committee appointed by, you were there, Mr. Chairman, when His Excellency the President instructed the Honorable Minister to appoint an independent committee of persons outside of Gaisuku. That committee was headed by the most senior engineer in the Ministry of Agriculture, called Mr. Lionel Wordsworth, and they chose their team. They came up, Chairman, you were not stopping Mr. Duque. Why are you trying to shut down my free speech? And why are you being this unfair? Where is the fairness in this room? So, Mr.
Are you questioning my
No, Mr. Chairman, I'm asking for the right to rebut. The other directors are here, you witness. One person spoke for 38 minutes. I am asking for permission for the technical engineers to have the right to rebut some unsubstantiated point, because what I just heard is not empirical evidence. I heard anecdotal information. Yes, sir, fantasy. And I would like the facts and empirical evidence to be presented. Then I have no problem with the subcommittee, but Mr. Chairman, you are telling the President of this country his opinion and the Minister's opinion is irrelevant. That is what you just did.
Let me say one thing.
Chairman,
Parties, executive management and America will have an opportunity to interact with the subcommittee, and the executive management would have to interrogate Mr. Duque's report.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think if you could just set out what the brief terms of reference that gave the opportunity for corporate management to at that forum to ventilate all the concerns they have.
what you are standing here doing? There's no fairness in this room. This is massive corruption. Massive corruption.
In this room is
Massive corruption. And I know there's a stare for tractors, but let me give you the facts. From January to now, I have spent $9.4 million on the John Deere tractors because the front axle is malfunctioning. That is what is being foisted upon us. The John Deere tractor doesn't have those maintenance issues. But if you had taken the time to read the ministerial report, you would have understood that there's a maintenance problem around the John Deere tractor. And these young men have lots of technical nuances to expose the deficiencies of the John Deere tractor. But this is a rig. This is a low-end field. There is no chance for them to have their say. 38 minutes. 38 minutes. This is a rig. You know it is a rig. I'll tell him it's a rig. And you can go to who he wants. I'll tell him it's a rig. He is rigging this process. He's rigging this process because how can we sit here and allow one side to speak and not all sides? It is unfair. There is no natural justice. What nonsense is this? And we are all big men and sitting and watching this thing happen. And there you have a biased person trying to push it through. Mr.
Don't call me no biased person. Next time you do it, you're going to.
There we have a biased person.
All right, good. It's not recording minutes. You're accusing me of wrongdoing. All right. I'm saying if there is a bias in this room, I'm hauling you in front of the judge. So help me God for hauling you in front of the judge. You can't keep doing that to me. I'm more honest than you could ever be in your entire life. What all y'all doing over there is trying to force this company to buy a tractor which you can't really afford and can't work. You commit any minister, you deceive the minister just as how you deceive all the members of this board. You are a deceiving person all the time. That's all you do. A dishonorable, deceiving person. That's who you are. And I'm not going to sit down here and watch this crap.
Okay, gentlemen, sorry.
Chairman, we have the important thing of IFA to discuss. The president was there and there's a report to be made to you on what is happening at IFA. And if you don't allow it, then we can't, how are we going to move forward at IFA? Director Peter asked for an agricultural improvement report to be made today. There are more important things to deal with.
Have you finished now? No. Let me.
Chairman, I'm just asking for my technical advice to respond to these lies. That's all I'm saying. I'm asking for the technical advices to respond to the lies. There was a lot of lies spoken here, and we need to clarify them.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask as a member of the board that given what the circumstances we were here, I consider it not very conducive to have our business. I move that we abort this meeting and reschedule for I support that.
Okay, fine. Okay, but before you go, note it down one thing, okay? The CEO behavior, tone and tenor of his speech was totally unacceptable.
And so was the vice chairman, Chairman. And so was the vice chairman.
Okay, totally.
And so was the vice chairman who threatened the CEO. And they did, they already said.
No, you don't do things.
He did. He did. No, I don't care. The point is that the truth be told. Don't bring lies to me. My integrity is unquestionable. I don't live in Venezuela. I don't live in Venezuela. I don't live in Venezuela. I don't live in Venezuelan prostitutes. I don't live in Venezuelan prostitutes. I want you to know that. Wow, well, you guys with your lies. Blatant lies you brought here. You were in 19 years. You brought blatant lies to this board. And it was being lapped up when we brought these lies. Nonsense. Absolutely nonsense. What kind of what manner
And so there we had it. Sugar getting very bitter. Sugar getting very hot. Sugar scarce. I don't sleep with Venezuelan prostitutes or live with Venezuelan prostitutes. And you see, while it's humorous on one part, this is the kind of lawlessness that we have in this country since August 2nd. This is the kind of lawlessness that we have that has been returned to this country. Could you imagine? $29 million to maintain one tractor. $29 million to maintain one tractor. Now, if we have to spend $29 million to repair one tractor, 2 tractors will cost us, you do the math, 3 tractors will cost us, 4 tractors will cost us, and yet we cannot have Gaisuco give us the kind of production that we so expect. We are producing at this rate, but our profit is at this rate. I don't know where we're going. I don't know where we're going. And it is crazy. While we're going to continue a little bit on this, let's bring MP Natasha Singh Lewis right in, and we're gonna talk about this a little. And then MP Natasha Singh Lewis, it's so good to always have you on Advancing the Cause. And viewers, I want to take time off to say a special good night to this young lady and to let you know that this woman is a champion of a woman. She just lost her husband, but you know what? She's a fighter. And he would have wanted her to continue the fight. And so when many of us would have expected her to be moping and mourning and all dragged out and sitting in a corner, no, she's there and she's fighting for the persons who would have voted for the coalition because she recognized the struggles that they're going through. MP Singh Lewis, welcome again to Advancing the Cause. Well, I just had the viewers there take a listen to the bittersweet sugar and the hot pepper sugar that we have in this country and what is happening at our board meeting. And it is so disgusting. And so this whole fight here now is about the game tractor and the John Deere tractor. And I'm learning that, and this is coming from Anthony Vera, a member who was a member of that board. And he said, and this is what he said: good old crookedness at Gaisuko. $27.5 billion spent to date on sugar, and we still got shortage. And his contention here was the fact that a game tractor would cost 50% more, or it's 50% more expensive than that of a John Deere tractor. He also went on to say that the money spent on purchasing 2 game tractor would give us 3 or maybe 4 John Deere tractors, but the CEO doesn't see it that way. And so, that's how they had that big exchange of words, not only between the CEO and Mr. Vera, but between other members of the board. MP Natasha Singh Lewis, your take on this whole thing here.
Coretta, thank you for having me this evening. I was running from one meeting to the other, and then I heard my name. I'm coming on to Advancing the Cause. I'm always here. I'm always going to be on the watch out for Advancing the Cause. And you have been doing a wonderful job advancing the cause for the people. Thank you for your kind words. Let me say to you, let me just interject in one of the statements you made, that profit is low. Let me say to our viewers that our production cost is so high that we are not at a break-even point at Gaisuku. So if we can't break even, it means that we are not making a profit. We are not covering our expenses. Let me say to you that sugar is dead. As much as I want to, in a naughty way, say that the Venezuelan people brought a little bit of sweetness to sugar, sugar is dead. And we got to understand that out of the $44+ billion that was recently passed, I think it was Monday, $3.4 billion is yet again plugged into a dead industry. If you remember, and listen, we have to break this thing apart so that people understand what's happening. It is gross mismanagement on the part of the PPP, through the Minister of Agriculture, through the CEO. But let's for this evening speak a little bit about the CEO. Our viewers should know that the CEO's package is more than what a minister receives. And a minister receives $1.28 million per month. And the CEO of Gaisuku, who is grossly incompetent, is receiving more in a package. And we are not at a break-even point after 2 years because they didn't want to learn about the coalition right-sizing Gaisuku. All they held on to is the number of employees who were out of a job. That's all they held on to. Now they're back. They recognize that the problem is worse. So what they seek to do, because it is perceived that the Gaisuku workers are supporters of the PPP, they tend to try to get money from the consolidated fund through the Ministry of Agriculture and give them hush-hush money. Their recent hush-hush money was $250,000. How long are we going to fill a black hole?
Mhm. Mhm.
How long are we going to look at giving people money in that manner, as they call it, grants, cash grants? When are we going to look at the holistic development of the industry? When is that going to happen? But when we were looking at the holistic development of Gaisuku, and right sizing was one of the actions taken, it didn't satisfy the PPP because that kind of decision or that kind of action doesn't allow them to pull money from the coffers to put in their pockets. One set of money, a few
Mhm.
persons will get the 250 and the rest goes somewhere else. And
Mhm.
when we pass $4 to $4+ billion in the National Assembly on Monday, we got to ask the question, Ms. McDonald, where does money go in? Where is the money going? And,
Well,
and
MP St. Louis, I forgot to say to our viewers that our theme for discussion this evening is come see a man. Come see a man, and the man can tell you the story. So we heard the story coming out of the big bacchanal at Gaisuku there. Come see a man, For those of us who are Christians, we know the story of the prostitute who went there to tell her villagers, come see a man who told me my entire life history, but at the end of it all, he said, go and do it no more. And so when I heard I don't sleep or I don't live with Venezuelan prostitutes, I decided, come see a man. But on the other hand, we are seeing here Gaisuko, Gaisuko, Gaisuko. Everything about Gaisuko, Gaisuko, Gaisuko. But yet we are not hearing about other public servants. I mean, I feel good when our workers within the sugar industry, they can be given additional incentives. But what about the other workers of this country? Without the accounts clerk, without the office assistant, without the supervisor, without all the others, what would happen? We wouldn't have a country that can produce. So, I mean, I don't understand. Why are we spending all this money on sugar when sugar isn't doing anything really for us?
sugar's dead. Sugar's dead.
And,
But we,
and you
we've
know,
got, we've got to say to our support base, we've got to say to the Guyanese that you have to look beyond today and tomorrow, because the cash grant is just going to take care of you today and tomorrow, and probably the 250 will take care of you for the month. But what happens the next month? What kind of development are you seeing for your community? You understand? And you got to look at it in a holistic view. It cannot be, the oil money cannot be for one set of people, and it cannot be for today and tomorrow only, because oil is not going to be forever. And so we have to look for holistic development for this country.
but
And while we speak
sorry.
about that, we must talk about the unequal distribution of resources,
Mhm,
because
mhm.
Gaisuku workers are not the only set of workers in this country. We have the public servants, and we have not seen anything for the public servants as yet. We don't know when they're going to get an increase in their salary, and they may very well just give them a bonus in December. But that in itself is not holistic development. it doesn't. It benefits them for a short period of time, for 1 month, and that's it.
Well, I do agree with one of our viewers there, and that viewer is saying Guy Suko's pocket doesn't have a bottom.
Yeah.
And so we keep pouring and pouring and pouring, and it's going in and it's going out somewhere else, so you're not seeing where it's going. Another viewer is saying they would love to see the balance sheet. And if you look on screen, viewers, you're going to see pictures of the tractors that are in contention here. And it is saying to us exactly what is happening. Could we have the pictures with the tractors again? It is saying exactly what was causing the confusion with regards to the performance of the two tractors. But MP Singh, Lois, I want to remind our viewers that it was the PPP who first started closing the sugar estates. It was under Jagdeo as president that the sugar estates were closed, and they forgot that. But they knew how to brand the coalition to say, oh, the coalition dismissed 5,000, 7,000, and look how many families were left on the breadline and they were starving. But they didn't remember that Jagdeo was the person who started closing the sugar estates, because they recognized that sugar was not profitable any longer. But you know what? In order to keep their supporters there, operator, could we bring Honorable Annette Ferguson right in? I noticed she's backstage. Yes, in order to keep their support base there, they have to keep plugging monies into them and keep lying to them and telling them all sorts of things to keep them there. But I want to say to us, every day you tell them one story, and tomorrow you tell them another story, and every day you continue to tell them stories. Even the sugar workers are recognizing for themselves right now that they've been lied to by the PPP government. They are recognizing that. And if you hear them speak, you'll hear how frustrated they are when they speak about what is happening to them in the cane fields, and what is happening with them with regards to monies that they were supposed to be receiving. But you know what? Like you said, MP Singh, the monies that they are giving them is hush-hush monies, so that they're not going to make noise. But they're still talking. Honorable Annette Ferguson, welcome to another episode of Advancing the Cause. And we were here sharing the tape there with the confusion that we had at Gaisuko at the board meeting. And hence you notice the topic there that says, come see a man, because one man was telling another one, I don't live or sleep with Venezuelan prostitutes.
Okay. Oh.
And so I'm saying this is the kind of lawlessness that happens whenever the PPP come around. Whenever they come around, this is the kind of lawlessness. And we were looking at what is happening with Gaisuko, what is happening with the financial paper, the $44.8 billion that was passed in Parliament, and the allotments that we have. But yet you're not hearing anything in terms of increases or any incentive or any cash grant to public servants. Your thoughts on that?
Okay, thank you very much, Coretta, for having me on your program once again. And I also want to say a pleasant night to your viewers and listeners. And I'm happy to be here to share the platform with my colleague, Natasha Singh Lewis. On the issue with Gaisuko, this has become a burden to taxpayers. It has become a major concern to Guyanese. I guess many persons, every day you read the newspapers, many are reading of what is happening there with Gaisuko. So with the recent outburst by one of the directors, no other person than Mr. Tony Vera, it wasn't strange, because we knew what was happening post-May 2015. I recall sitting in the National Assembly, that is the 10th Parliament, when the then combined opposition, that was the APNU and the AFC, we had control of the National Assembly. And we asked that government, it was the Ramata's government, to produce a report on the status of Gaisuku. You know, many promises were made, but you know what, viewers? You know what, Coretta and Natasha? Nothing came to fruition. Nothing. The government failed to produce a written report on what is happening there at Gaisuku. But I want to say, even before I come to current, when the coalition was in government and we took a decision to right size the industry, that was a very good decision that we took, because sugar ain't going nowhere. Sugar is dead. Sugar is dead. We would have seen what has happened in Barbados, what would have happened in Trinidad, and many of these CARICOM countries, St. Kitts and Nevis. You know, they were big on sugar. These countries would have divested and went into tourism and other sectors. But what did David Granger administration did when we closed the 3 estates? We were able to secure a 30 billion bond. You're not hearing anything about that? A 30 billion bond we were able to secure, and that was actually given to NISIL, because you know NISIL had responsibility for sourcing sales for the properties and assets concerning Gaisuku. So the government was able to secure this 30 billion bond, of which 10 billion was actually transferred from NISIL to Gaisuku. So what is happening now? When the PPP came to government in August of 2020, they would have reached a 20 billion bond in NISIL. And what that government would have done to date is that they would have transferred that 20 billion from NISIL's book into the consolidated funds. So in effect, Gaisuku to date would have received in excess of 40 billion Guyana dollars from the government. I mean, we keep hearing about the 17, but when we add the 20 billion that is outstanding, Gaisuku would have received in excess of 40 billion Guyana dollars. I recall asking several questions in late 2020 to the minister within the Ministry of Finance, right? To provide a status update on what has happened to the 20 billion bond. And you know, we had the usual sand dancing from them. But nevertheless, the 20 billion still remains unaccounted for, and this government needs to tell us exactly what has happened to that 20 billion bond from the 30 billion bond. So the state that we have seen Gaisuku in today is, as I said before, it is not strange. It is nothing new. This is what we inherited from the People's Progressive Party Civic. And we try to, as I said before, right-size the industry. But that being said, Coretta, you know the game that the People's Progressive Party Civic, they don't have the industry at heart, you know. The only purpose for them keeping that dead horse alive, or that dead elephant alive, or the dead industry alive, is because they want to secure they want to secure votes. But I can tell you this: there are many cane harvesters in that industry that know exactly what is happening. I got 1 or 2 contacts in the industry, and the people would from time to time report, Minister Ferguson or Comrade Ferguson, nothing really happening in the industry. The promise to open Rose Hall, but that is they're not being truthful. Nothing isn't happening. So despite them transferring whether I think it's 3.4 billion from the supplementary paper, you got to really question whether those monies are actually going to sugar workers. Because we know it can be going to the industry of itself, but the workers, they're not benefiting. But I recall the question that was asked during the consideration of the paper on Monday. What is this money now this 3.4 billion going to be used for? And the minister responded by saying that they're revitalizing the Rose Hall, the Rose Hall estate. Another question that was asked: how many persons have been employed to date? And he said apparently the target number is 1,000, right? 1,000 they're trying to rehire. So far they would have, I think, rehired in excess of 672 persons. But the point is, though, how can you say with one side of your mouth that you're retooling or you're revitalizing the industry, bringing in new equipment, and still with the other side of your mouth, you're claiming that you have rehired 672 people. Now tell me this. These people, let us assume that in reality, these people have indeed been rehired. But what are they doing on a daily basis when you're still revitalizing and retooling and re-equipping this particular estate? That is the question that is still to be answered. Is it that people are turning up on a daily basis, have actually absolutely nothing to do, monies are being wasted?
Yes,
that's my
exactly
concern.
You see, Annette and viewers, we must understand that in order for the PPP to maintain certain votes, they have to do what they're doing here. They have to do what they're doing. Even at the expense of other citizens in this country, they have to do that. It's like one of our viewers saying that there are two things that the PPP keep doing all the time. They give to their supporters and they steal. They give you a whole host of names. 1,000 will be re-employed, but you got 6 something now. 3 something will be accounted for, will be the ghost people. And somebody there will collect the monies and somebody will get a drawback. We know, we understand how the thing happens. But don't worry. I want our viewers to know that year-end coming, and they can come year-end to tell you, we're giving you big bonus, we're giving you big back pay, but I hope you're big and you got sense, and that you will use that money constructively to do the things that you really have to do and not to spend it unnecessarily, because that's their way of bribing you and getting you to feel that they do care, but they don't care. If all through the year you can't look after me, why at the end of the year you're coming to tell me that you care at the end of the year? So what was I supposed to do all year? Put a tape on my mouth, put a tape on my children's mouth? That's what I was supposed to do? It is crazy. And viewers, I'm hoping that you're going to be able to share this message and let others know. Jagdier was the first person who started right-sizing the sugar estates because he recognized, again, let me remind you, he said it was not profitable then. And when the coalition came on board, the coalition decided that we were going to do other things to supplement the workers who are going to be off of the sugar estate. They were going to reintegrate them into other areas, and those who did not want to have that done, they were willing to receive their severance payments, and they did receive their severance payments. And then when the PPP came into power, they got more monies, and that's fine. Citizens, take the monies, but the emphasis here is not on the workers from Gaisuko, our brothers and sisters who are cane harvesters. That's not we don't have a problem with you. We have a problem with the PPPC and their manner of management. That is what we have a problem with. Annette, I saw their GPL, because I can't say GPL collecting a whopping set of monies from this.
I think $4 billion.
$4 billion to that would be investment to maintain and to buy new equipment and all kinds of things. And you know what? I figure the machines and everything start rejoicing when they hear they're getting $5 billion, because all of a sudden you start getting more blackout. Yesterday we had blackout all across this country. no traffic light ain't working anywhere. So it's traffic going up, down, jam up here, jam up there, all kinds of madness in this country. But on a serious note, yesterday, while we had that spell of blackout, we had patients who were already in theater waiting for surgery. We had patients who were being prepared for surgery. And then we had the blackout. In addition to that, my worry was what was happening to those babies that we have in incubators. What happened with them? Because the Georgetown Hospital, the standby is not working. And I'm wondering what is happening between that 2 years. It's only 2 years that this illegal regime is sitting there, and all kinds of things are happening. All kinds of things are happening. And you know what? As a people, we have got to understand that this government don't care about us. All they care about is their friends, their families, and their favorites. Imagine this government took the time to spend 55,000 US. That's what they're spending a month to pay a lobbying firm to lie through their teeth. Well, I can't say teeth, oh God, I sound like our friend. Through their teeth. To the US official, telling them that no, everything nice in Guyana is one Guyana. But you cannot find monies to maintain the generators at the Georgetown Public Hospital, at Anna Regina's Hospital, at New Amsterdam Hospital, at the hospital in Port Laurent and Skeldon, and everywhere else where we got a public hospital. You can't spend monies on generators to maintain those, but you can spend $55 million on a lobbying firm. You can continue to give monies to Gaisuko every quarter, but you can't maintain these generators where it's a matter of life and death. So my viewers, I'm hoping that you are getting the clear message of what we are saying. Lives are at risk. Guyana got to be a nice place, you know.
Yes, indeed. Guyana is indeed an interesting place. But as if you may allow me a few minutes to share an opinion on the whole issue of GPL. And I think we need to remind our viewers and listeners, the coalition government had approximately 3.5 years to govern this nation. When we took office in May of 2015, all of the sectors, every sector, whether from the public sector way down to the water sector, had major issues. And, in order to move the country forward in a positive direction, we started to fix certain things. GPL was one of those sore entity, right, that has been bleeding not only the government's coffer, but the kind of services that you were actually getting from GPL. We had the constant blackout. The persons were experiencing damages to their equipment and all manner of things. When we came in, we tried to address what was the core issue with GPL. But even before getting into government, you had a CEO there in no other than Mr. Dindial. The board of the PPP when they were in government pre-May 2015. The board said they had lost all confidence in him. Yes. The board said he was incompetent. The board said he lacked management skills and all manner like. And they did not. They said to the the prime minister, that his contract should not be renewed. It so happened the government changed, and we eventually left. But When the government, when the PPP came back into government, it is the same incompetent Dindial, it is the same misfit Dindial that they actually brought back and who is currently heading GPL. So what you were actually experiencing pre-May 2015, we are experiencing it now with Dindials at the helm of GPL. And let me tell you this, Coretta, the whole thing about GPL and these other sectors, they're semi-autonomous. And when you're a semi-autonomous agency, you're supposed to be making, be on your own footing, making your profit, paying your bills, looking after your staff and every other thing. But because of what has happened, the whole politicizing of these sectors, it is now on the backs of the taxpayers. So taxpayers got to be injecting into GPL, but still you're not getting a positive service from them. So with this $4 billion that they would have gotten, believe you me, sis, believe you me, listeners and friends, I do not see any significant. There will be no significant changes with the services that we're getting. The only way this can be achieved is the whole entire management probably from the board right down to senior management will have to go. They will have to go. I have success stories under the coalition government. We had in Essequibo, the people from Anna Regina way up to Charity, they were experiencing constant blackouts. You know what we did? We were able, I think it's $800 million generation set. We were able, brand new, we were able to put in. And those persons' problems in that particular region were long gone because we were able to fix the problem. We had the issue in Bartica, similar issue in Bartica. We were able to replace the old gensets with brand new gensets. Now Barticians aren't complaining. We had the issue there in Canefield up in West Coast, Bobis. Brand new branch sets, similar complaints. And I can tell you, we were able to purchase new gensets, and those woes, those experiences that people were experiencing, they were long gone. So just before we left office, we had brand new equipment coming in. But you know what? Because of the change of the government, we were unable to have those new sets installed. So the PPP inherited. So now they're taking glory and they're taking fame for it. But it was the coalition that would have made it possible. So to conclude on this particular point, Coretta, the situation that is confronting GPL at this moment, the constant blackout, is as a result of poor leadership. It as a result of misfits. And it is as a result of high incompetence. You would recall the coalition we had the interview for the CEO, and we had Mr. Alfred out from Jamaica, who was at the helm of that sector. And, he was trying his best. But I know for a fact that we had positive results from Mr. Alfred's leadership at the helm of GPL. Now, it's a faraway difference. It's as though we've gone 10 steps backward, and it's going to get worse. And may God help us as a nation and a people.
Again, Annette and viewers, come see a man, and the man is Daniel. Come see a man, and the man is Tony Vera. Come see a man, and that man is Cisnarine Singh. Come see the man. The man is Irfan Ali, the man who speaks about one Guyana. People, come see a man. And viewers, I agree with some of the comments that we are having there. I noticed one of our viewers saying that he would have left Guyana 30 years ago and in blackout. And still a day like today, we're experiencing blackout. Come see that man. Another viewer is saying, well, you know, BJ loved to have all of those dunce thugs with him so that he can control us. Come see a man again. We got to get some bells, like Sherrod would say, to pelt it in the chest. And you know what? I am hoping that we can use these experiences that we are having so that we can share wide and far with people and compare.
Yeah.
Under the coalition, you had proper water.
Oh, yes.
Water was given to villages where they never had running water flowing from a tap. Never had that. They got that. Under the coalition, you hadn't water given at this time, and then for the next period, no water, and from 5 o'clock in the morning, you have to fill up your buckets, and so because water is going to cut off at 6 o'clock or 7 o'clock.
There was no water rationing. No water rationing.
No water rationing. None whatsoever. But we having that now. Come see a man, Sheikh Bash, the man at the helm of GWI there. Come see a man, Nigel Daramlal, the dildo boy. Come see a man. And these are the people who want to tell you how to run, that you don't know how, the coalition doesn't know how to run a country. But under the coalition, we hadn't this kind of struggle.
No.
Under the coalition, workers were given their increases in salary at the right time. Teachers got theirs in January because that is what their agreement said. They got it in January. Other workers got theirs later in the year. But now everybody getting across the board. Even the ministers, come see the man, Jagdeo. Even Jagdeo getting his increase at the end of the year. And all of them are having super salaries. What a shame.
Yes, Coretta, if you may, on this whole ministerial salary, when we came into government in 2015, a decision was taken to ensure that, you have different levels of, because you had different levels of ministers. You had ministers within, you had senior ministers, you had VPs, you had the prime minister, you had the president. So at each level, there was a percentage. Or like for us, myself and other colleagues who serve as ministers within, we got 20%. We got 20%. And from 2015, we have never received any other increase in salaries. But it was a big hullabaloo when the government, when the APNU government increased the minister's salary. Mr. Barra Jagdeo is on record saying that if he were to get back into government, he will take back the salaries that was there for ministers pre-May 2015. But you know what? Today they're enjoying the very salaries, the very increased salaries that they inherited in 2020 from the coalition government. They're enjoying it. And you know what they did? Come 2021, when taxpayers got 7%, they too received 7% across the board. So I am making the point so that our viewers and listeners can understand. The coalition wasn't a bad coalition government. The coalition wasn't a greedy coalition government, because when we took that position to increase our salaries, come 2016, 2017, 2018, up to 2019, when the public servants were all enjoying increases in salaries, the coalition ministers did not enjoy any further increases in salaries. But you know what? The PPP will not say that. The PPP will not say that because it is not in their DNA to tell the truth. It is all about propaganda and spewing lies. How can we, as right-thinking Guyanese, believe Barra Jagdeo? Barra Jagdeo must never We must never believe Barra Jagdeo. He is a pathological liar. That is the kind of person he be. So when he said, "Oh, the government will renegotiate the Exxon oil contract when they get into government," it's big and bold on their manifesto page, the front page of their manifesto. At the bottom there, the PPPC government will renegotiate for better management of the oil contract. It's now 2 years since they're in government, and still yet they haven't taken a decision to review the contract. So how can we trust Barra Jagdeo and the People's Progressive Party Civic? Viewers and listeners, this is a man we must never trust. This is a man who said he finished with politics in 2011 after the CCJ ruled that he cannot enjoy a third term. What he did, he came back in 2020 and came back in 2015 to be the leader of the opposition. Mm-hmm. He came back 2020 to be the vice president. And let me tell you something, he is no vice president because the Constitution is clear. But the man is so obsessed with power. The man is like a Putin. You know, he believed that, well, look, in order to control people, to control things, he got to get power. But I want Barra Jagdeo to know that there is a man greater than all of us who is all powerful, and his name is Jesus.
Annette, I want to say to you and our viewers, come see a man. How can we trust Barra Jagdeo when he lied to this nation about his marriage to Varshni? Come see a man. That's the man. Come see a man. And you know, as we're speaking here, the residents in Port Kaituma, they're crying out that it's been a month since they're out of water, running water. The people in Port Kaituma. And this is the regime that talks about because we care. They're spouting it all over the place, because we care. And here you have an entire community that has been without water for 1 month. 1 month. And then we have somebody asking Steve Martin. Steve wants to know if the teachers got increases under the previous government. Well, Steve Martin, since you were not aware, let me enlighten you that coming after the largest increase that we would have gotten as public servants from the
coalition government,
from the Aubrey Armstrong Accord, the next highest award that teachers and other public servants received in this country was under the coalition government. So since you didn't know, I needed to get you to know that. And you can go and check the facts. That is fact. Teachers and other public servants got the next highest award under the coalition government. The first one was under Dr. Aubrey Armstrong, who was there as the mediator. He was the man who arbitrated, and they got that. So I'm happy that you were asking that question. So now that you have the information, I trust that you're going to share it. And yes, Barra Jagdeo is a greedy man. And that's what he wants to do. He wants to have those persons who we can control, persons who we can go out there and spew all kind of hatred and all kinds of crazy things and get them to believe that. But viewers, I want you to remember, we are not going to go into another elections without a clean voters list. I must say this to you, without a clean voters list. And Auntie Claudette, whichever way you swing in, you better swing right this time with this list, because we got to have a clean voters list before we go into elections. We know that list is bloated, and we're not going into elections with that list. We are not going to move forward. As a matter of fact, if we can't have procedures in place in terms of starting to have that clean voters list, it's going to be pace and power. And we can ring that bell and we can throw it in some of your chest, like Sherrod would say, because we ain't taking no kind of swing bowling this time. We ain't taking no kind of swing batting this time. We ain't taking no two-faced persons this time. It's pace and power this time around. Come on, viewers, come see a man. And I told you about plenty men this evening. Come see the man. Anthony Vera, I'm happy that you are that decent man who recognized that all this government is doing is raping the people of Guyana, and you would have resigned from that board. And you know what? I need to compliment Tony Vera a little more, because Tony Vera could only talk about sugar because he has lived the sugar, and that is why he's so passionate about sugar. It's like Coretta McDonald. I can talk about teachers because I am a teacher. I've been a teacher for the last 31 years. And so nobody could come to tell me about what happens in the classroom. Nobody can tell me about slaving to write notes of lessons and having to cut the pages on the... So when certain people jump up and talking about teachers and teachers and teachers this and teachers that, they can only talk from what they heard other people saying. But you have to listen to me. This is coming straight from the horse's mouth. And yes, we gonna ring that bell. We gonna move with pace and power. And we know some of them, we can't trust them. And we gonna have to ask them to gracefully bow out. But we know what we have to do, and we're going to work towards doing that. But I don't want to take up too much more time, because I know it's already time for my brother Sherrod to come in on in the ring. And so we're going to make way for that. And so, Annette, I'm going to ask you to give us your closing thoughts before we leave our viewers for this evening.
Coretta, once again for having me. And I just want to say to our viewers that hope is alive. Don't give up. You know, Guyana is in a different place. You know, we will keep asking the question whether Guyana is a real place. Well, Guyana cannot be a real place under the People's Progressive Party Civic when you have racism, when you got discrimination, when you got victimization, when you got, you know, all the isms that are not good, you know, our people continue to experience. But I want to say to all and sundry, let us remain focused. This is where you get the truth and nothing else. But it's programs like these, you know, in the ring, advancing the cause, building bridges, people's representative. My own program that I haven't hosted for some time now, and I intend to restart my program shortly. These are the programs you have to tune into to get the facts, to get the truth as they are. Because listening to the propagandists in the People's Progressive Party Civic will just sick your mind, will just make you sick and more sick. So I want to encourage each and every one of us to hold strain. You've seen what these people are made of over the last 2 years. And they can't change. They cannot change. They will continue right into 2025. And I trust that by God's grace, mercies, and blessings, that you, the people, will make the right choice, make the right decision come 2025 to get the backs of the People's Progressive Party Civic. The thief in we idle money. The thief in we money. The pocket in we money. Corruption high in this country. Extrajudicial killing has returned. Many persons are dying. And you're not hearing these people sounding their voice. It is time the People's Progressive Party Civic go. But in every long rope got an end. Their time soon come. So once again, thank you very much, Coretta, for having me. May God continue to bless you. May God continue to bless our beautiful country. And may God continue to bless our people. Thank you once again.
Thanks, Annette. And tonight I want to say to us, for Guyana to grow, the PPP must go. Aubrey C. Norton said that. And this is indeed a fact. Guyana is at a right place, like one of our viewers is saying, but not with the PPP. Those thieves, we can't have them there. We cannot have them there. You can't go to the shop and buy anything. It's plenty money. You can't go here, you can't go there. Everything is a whole lot of money, and the salaries that public servants are working for, it's not doing anything much for them. But I want to leave with you this evening. Peace of mind produces right value or right values. Right values produce right thoughts. Right thoughts produce right actions, and right actions produce work which will be a material reflection for others to see. And that is what we are doing. We are producing, we are allowing you to have the peace of mind because we're giving you the facts. We're giving you the facts, and we are going to work together so that all of us can be equally involved in the further development of this country, so that others would not only be able to see us living that good life, but all of us are going to be able to live that good life. With that, I want to say thank you so much for being here with us on Advancing the Cause. Our regular suspects who are always there with us, thank you for being there. And I want to say to those of us here in Guyana, especially, COVID is still up and alive. And I want to advise and admonish you that you continue to wear your mask when you're out. When you are in open spaces, use your sanitizer as often as possible, because many persons are coming down with COVID. I just saw an advisory from the Ministry of Health, I think it was yesterday or earlier today, which is saying that if you're experiencing flu-like symptoms, go get a COVID test. And they were the ones who were saying, oh, they relaxed, all the rules, they relaxed. But let me say to you, for your safety, for my safety, and for our safety, continue to wear your mask, continue to sanitize, and encourage others to do the same. See you again next week for more on Advancing the Cause. Same time, same place. Tell your friend, tell your neighbor, tell everybody else. Look out next Wednesday at 6:30 for more on Advancing the Cause. And next week, we are going to have a guest here for you. And that guest will tell you about the sufferings of public servants and what has happened over the years. So let's all look out for Advancing the Cause next week. But again, I've shown you the man. Come see the man. Good night for now.
Thank you for watching our program. See you right back here, same place, same time. And remember, hold the line of battle, comrades. Our victory is sure.